So in today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different and talk about basically some controversial / unpopular opinions I might have on car detailing techniques and products. So there are probably going to be ones that are more unpopular than others on this list. They're basically all things that people have disagreed with me on in the past. Now, I want to start by saying that with detailing, there are so many different products and techniques that there are a million different ways to do things, and it's kind of all about finding out what works for you. At the end of the day, it's not too serious. We are all just trying to make cars look a little bit nicer. But I did think it would be an interesting idea for a video, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts in the comments too. Are any of the things on this list controversial to you, and do you have any sort of unpopular opinions yourself? So I'm going to kick things off with the first one on this list, which is about wheel cleaning. Now, this one is about the order in which to clean the different parts of your wheel. Now, generally, most people I see clean wheels will do the barrels before they do the face of the wheel. Now, I am in the minority here, and I do it the opposite way around. Now, I'm going to start with the reasons why I think people do it with the barrels first, and I think that's because of the common sort of thinking of you clean the dirtiest area of the car first, like you clean the wheels before the bodywork. So I get that the barrels are typically dirtier than the faces, so people clean that area first. However, my disagreement with that is that basically when you clean the barrels of the wheel, you're essentially dragging all that brake dust from the back to the front of the wheels. So when you take your lovely fresh wash mitt to that face of the wheel, you're scrubbing in all that extra brake dust that wouldn't have been there if you'd have started with the faces first. Now, I understand the argument of cleaning the wheels before the paintwork, as you don't want dirt flicking up, and then if you don't rinse it off quick enough, it might dry on there and you've just cleaned it and it'd be a pain. However, with the wheels, I don't think this is as much of a problem cleaning the dirtiest area last, because at the end of cleaning that wheel, you rinse it all down and it all just gets rinsed away anyway. I've personally never had a situation where cleaning the barrels last has meant that there's been dirt on the face that hasn't just rinsed away afterwards. So that is my sort of thought process, but I appreciate I'm in the minority here and I'm kind of interested to see what a lot of you guys do in the comments. Now, next up on this list is about doing your detail brushwork. So cleaning around the badges and those difficult to reach areas like the grills, things like that, when you're actually cleaning the car. Now, if you are doing a deep clean, an exterior deep clean on the car, then cleaning those areas is really important, and I do think it's well worth doing. However, what I don't like seeing is when there's a dirty car, you pop your snow foam on to do the pre-wash, and then take the detailing brush and do all those areas then. Now, at this stage, because the pre-wash hasn't been rinsed, the car's at its dirtiest possible point. So by taking a detailing brush and scrubbing all those little areas, you're causing more damage than you would be if you did it after the pre-wash. So that's why I always use my detailing brush at that later stage when I'm doing the contact wash on the car. I think it's a far safer approach, and if you're sort of stuck for things to do when you're snow foaming your car, what I normally do is rinse out my wheel bucket and my brushes, and that's how I occupy my time whilst I wait for my snow foam to dwell before I go ahead and rinse it off. Now, next part is about pre-washing and how you rinse that off. Now, there is a big debate, and I feel like it's probably going to be an even split, of people that rinse from top to bottom or bottom to top when rinsing off your snow foam, your citrus, whatever you're using. Now, my controversial opinion is that I really actually don't think it matters. Now, I have tried this, I've tried both methods on dirty cars and noticed no difference whatsoever. Now, the argument for rinsing top to bottom is that obviously you're not going to have to rinse twice. If you're rinsing bottom to top, you're going to have to go again back down the car to get it all off again. So I get that. Now, the argument for doing it the other way around is that it can be easier to see where you're rinsing your pre-wash, and I totally get that. That's why I just don't have a strong opinion on it. When you see me rinsing the cars on the videos, you'll see me doing top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side. Honestly, I don't think it massively matters. As long as you do it methodically and thoroughly rinse that chemical away, trying to remove that pre-wash and dirt, and really cleaning the car as effectively as possible during that contact-free stage, I don't really think there's an issue. Now, leading on from that one, and I probably should have said this the other way around, but that is the direction in which you actually apply your pre-wash. So do you go top to bottom when you spray your foam on, or do you go bottom to top? Now, in my opinion, I think it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. The argument I have seen for people applying it top to bottom is that it's going to drip down the car anyway, totally get that. The argument I've seen for applying it bottom to top is that those dirtier areas are on the bottom, so if you apply the bottom area first, then it's going to be dwelling for longer. However, in actual reality, the difference is probably about 2 seconds. So again, I just don't think it makes a difference, and I just don't think it's one of those things that really need overthinking. Again, as long as you get good even coverage, rinse it off thoroughly, I think you're going to be absolutely fine when it comes to pre-washing your car. Now, my next kind of controversial opinion is that pre-washing the wheels is as important as pre-washing the paintwork. Now, some people will probably disagree with me on this one. However, I think that pre-washing the wheels is really important. For the same reason exactly it's pre-washing the paintwork, it's to get as much of that dirt off as possible before making contact to reduce the risk of swirls and marring. Now, wheels are really, really dirty, and unfortunately they get covered in brake dust, which is super abrasive. Now, if you've got gloss black wheels, for example, you're going to feel this pain even more, but on any finish, you go ahead and basically don't rinse that wheel or don't apply a chemical first and rinse that. You're going to be scrubbing that brake dust into the finish and damaging it. Now, at the very, very least, rinse the wheel down. I don't think it's enough personally, and that's why in my videos you'll always see me using a chemical first on the same way I would on the paintwork. Usually a citrus pre-wash, giving that a couple of minutes to dwell and then rinsing off. I found that it works better than just rinsing alone. So in the same way I wouldn't just rinse the paintwork and go in with a contact wash, I like to use a pre-wash chemical first. Now, my next slightly controversial opinion is that I don't think trim dressings are the best option in the vast majority of cases. Now, trim dressings are generally quite cheap products, so Carpro Pearl's one of the most popular ones. I've not used that one personally, but there are loads of different ones out there where basically they're really easy to apply, cheap, some of them are dilutable, but they don't last very long. Now, for me, applying something to the trim to keep it looking dark and nice isn't the most fun job in the world, and I don't massively enjoy it, so I want to get something on there that's really durable. And with that, I also want something that's not going to run in the rain. Now, a lot of trim dressings I've tried have had this problem where if you get a heavy downpour, there'll be streaks in the trim and it'll look pretty terrible. And that's why I prefer to go down the trim coating route where possible. So not everyone wants one, so unfortunately I can't use it on every car that I come across. However, on my own car and the ones that I look after regularly, I always go with a trim coating, as I just think they're way, way better. They last sort of 12 months plus and they don't run in the rain, so you don't have to reapply them every wash. I get why trim dressings exist because they're easy and cheap to apply, and I get that for some people that's probably going to work better and they don't want to go down the coating route. I like them, for example, for using on wheel arches and things like that, but generally a trim coating just fits into my routine way better, and I'll go with those in most cases if I can. And the next slightly controversial thing I've got on my list is that I don't think shampoos with protection in them, whether that be a wax or a ceramic type of protection, should really exist, and I'm not a huge fan of them. Now, I have given them a go in the past and had decent results with them. However, compared to using a regular shampoo that's just designed to clean, safely remove dirt from the surface that has been left over from the pre-wash, so has that slickness and can reduce the risk of wash marring, is by far the more important thing to me than being able to apply some protection. Now, for certain people, I get why you would want to go down, particularly the ceramic sort of shampoo route, because maybe you don't want to apply protection at all, and that's better than nothing, I totally get that. But I think separating those two stages just yields such better results. The risk of wash marring is going to go down massively because they're just so much slicker and thicker feeling compared to ceramic shampoos, which generally feel quite thin. And also the level of protection you can get if you apply something afterwards, be it sealant, a wax or coating, if you're going down that route, is just so much better than what would be offered by a ceramic shampoo. Now, wash and wax shampoos I just don't really have any time for at all. I find they're actually counterproductive in a lot of cases. They tend to clog up existing protection. So if you've got something nice that's beading really well on there, go with a sort of wash and wax shampoo. Sometimes I've noticed that totally flattens the water behaviour, so just not really about them. And again, you tend to need a lot more of the products, so they're more expensive. They don't feel as slick and they're just not as nice to use. So I'm just personally not a fan of them. Now, next on the list is a point that I disagree with that I see a lot of times in the comments, and that is that you can't wash a car in the sun. Now, I disagree with this because I've done it many times, and there are ways that you can mitigate the problems that the sun's causing. Now, I totally get that it's not an ideal situation, and if you can wash your car in the shade and avoid it, or get a canopy or something like that, then do it. It's a really good option, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. However, it's just not always practical to do that, and sometimes you do have to wash a car in the sun. And I think particularly in the UK, when it never gets that hot, it is something that is doable. If you're living in a country where it's 40 degrees Celsius every day, then totally get it. This point's probably not going to apply to you. But typically in the UK sun, I do think it's doable. Now, there are certain things you can do to mitigate this that I've talked about in other videos. Washing sections of the car at a time, using the pressure washer to cool down those panels and stop products drying out, spritzing the panel to keep it cool and keep those chemicals sort of wet as well, I think it's a good idea. Rather than applying your pre-wash to a dry car, rinsing it first again to cool that panel, again works well. There are other things that I've talked about in other videos, but I do think it's doable, although not ideal. I think if you use common sense, use the right chemicals and use the right processes, washing your car in the sun is something you can do in the UK if you're sensible about it. Now, the next point on this list is about applying ceramic coatings, and it's the idea that you cannot apply a ceramic coating outdoors. Now, I disagree with this, and that is something that apparently is quite controversial. I understand where this has come from, because I think particularly sort of 5-10 years ago, applying a ceramic coating outside, not in a controlled environment, wasn't a practical thing to do, and the coatings weren't really allowing you to do that. And taking your car to a professional detailer who has a unit was going to be the best approach. However, I don't think that's the case anymore. I've used plenty of coatings that work fine outdoors, so the Performance PPL one and Gion Mo's that I used more recently on the Renault Megane, both work perfectly fine outdoors and I had no problems. Now again, I think there really is some common sense that needs to be applied if you are planning on applying a ceramic coating outside. But there are definitely things you can do to mitigate some of the issues you might have. Now, applying a coating outdoors in direct sun, yeah, don't think it's a great idea. Although it's easier to wash your car outdoors in the sun, applying a coating is just something I wouldn't do if there was direct sun on the panel and I could not get any shade on the car. I also won't be applying a ceramic coating outside if it's 20-mile-an-hour winds. There's going to be loads of stuff flicking up onto the panel whilst I'm coating the car. The same reason I wouldn't machine polish a car in that situation either. I think the main concern people have is it raining on the car after application. Now, some coatings are a lot more forgiving than that than others. The Performance PPL Rain one, I think, it says about 4 hours to get it wet, which I know the UK weather can be a bit unpredictable, but generally you can find a day where that's going to be suitable. The Gion ones say 12 hours. You can apply their Cure sealant over the top, which will protect it during that 12 hours if you are really worried. So there are again certain things you can do to mitigate examples of it raining. But I think sometimes some people are worried about dust settling on the car during that curing period and it's sort of sitting and kind of infusing with the coating. That's been something that I've been asked in the past. Personally, I've never had that issue whatsoever. The coatings have always come out really nicely, performed exactly how they should have done and looked exactly how they should have done. So yeah, common sense needs to be applied when applying a coating outdoors, but to say it's not possible is just not something I personally agree with. Now, please let me know in the comments, do you have any unpopular or controversial opinions? I would love to hear them. Do you agree with me on anything or disagree with me on anything? Again, love to hear that too. And if you have enjoyed this video, then it'd be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.